like to welcome our viewers today, wish them a good day. I'm here today with Bonnie Grossen, co-author on the Reading Mastery Transformation Edition. So Bonnie, thank you for giving your time to us today. We really appreciate that.
No, my pleasure.
Great. So would you start by just giving us a brief history of your association with direct instruction? I know you started just a couple of years ago, so it probably isn't too detailed, but
You're being sarcastic.
seriously though, going back to, I mean, you've been associated. You started using direct instruction way back when in Idaho, right?
Exactly, yes. And probably I am even more committed to direct instruction because I had a period of time where I didn't have direct instruction. Thought I was the smartest teacher on earth and could do anything. And we had these kids in Idaho on the Indian reservation, on the tribal school. Those were Native American kids. And after 1 year, none of them could read. And I'd been doing all the, I was good at analysis, using phonics, using Sullivan's phonics, using every kind of analysis I could. And then this group from Cheney came by Eastern Washington to showed us in a couple hours, showed us direct instruction. Excuse me. And showed us the blending. And I thought, oh my God, I didn't even think of showing them how to blend the sounds together and hold them like that. That should help. Anyway, so then my colleague and I went to the conference in Eugene and learned direct instruction. This was 1976. And so, I sort of know now that those children in the tribal school, probably most of them had alcohol fetal syndrome, and we didn't even have that term then, but they were very hard to teach. But after our sessions with math and reading, we went back there and all those kids could do fancy math and they could all read. The ones we failed with the year before and the ones that came that year, they could all read by the end of the year, no matter how old they were. They could all read. And so then I was determined to find out more about direct instruction, came to the master's program at the U of O, and then I taught in high school for many years using direct instruction programs with high school kids, resource room, and then came back for my PhD, and I've been committed to direct instruction. Teaching at the university where you have to teach, students want to know what other methods besides DI, and for me, there's only one method, the one that works. Why mess around with the other stuff? And so I didn't teach classes at the university. It wasn't my desire. I rather just work on the research with direct instruction and got into authoring with Zig already in 1991. Learned a lot.
Started on the reasoning and writing. Is that
the reasoning and writing? Yes.
Nice. And Adventures in South Africa also.
Yeah, Adventures in South Africa. That was early on, and for a year that was very rewarding. And then the big implementation in California, because I'd worked with older kids, I did the middle school stuff. I had the middle school model at Gady Middle School in Sacramento, which now has a different name, but it got a lot of visibility. And then at that time, that was about 2000, they were getting ready for No Child Left Behind, and direct instruction became one of the adopted intervention models in California, which led to a lot of work. And there were fortunately a lot of consultants I could bring onto my team to work in schools all over California. And we had a great time really making a big difference.
Yeah. Well, and you've actually, you've had such a varied experience with DI. It's taken you literally around the world. You were were you in the South Pacific for?
Oh yeah, in American Samoa for like 8 years.
Yeah.
And we had a team of 8 there that I worked with closely that lived on the island, that were so good. And those 25 schools, we could have had that whole island reading. I mean, they were so good, we could have done what people thought would have been miracles if they would have just let us. But that's the problem.
That's
higher ups don't always let you do what you could do to make things better.
Yeah, it's amazing how ferociously people will hold on to their sort of like their dogma, even in the face of overwhelming success.
They don't look at the evidence. They don't. Yeah.
Such a shared frustration. Yeah, it really is. So anyhow, so tell us, what are the levels of the Reading Mastery Transformations Edition that you worked on? And
Well, 4 and 5 language
okay,
level. Yeah. And
go on.
those are, I'll go into how they're different. Those are very different from the way they were before.
Yeah, so now were they not initially based on the reasoning and writing track, or?
They were originally based on reading writing, yes. And then they had other stuff sort of added in. The signatures edition, the language had other stuff sort of put in to make it align with standards. And sometimes that is a bad thing for us to do, so that it wasn't so well integrated anymore. And then, of course, people changed their standards. So now we have the Common Core standards, but we have made these levels much more integrated, much more DI, in that you don't have anything that's irrelevant hanging on there, or at least totally minimized its presence if you were required to have something irrelevant. It's it's very well integrated to teach lots and lots of writing. Kids write every day, every single day. And every single day, they also learn component skills, which are integrated into the more challenging writing tasks that become more and more open-ended as they go through the program.
Can you describe what type of writing they are doing? Is it a range of styles, or is it pretty much?
Yes, they write, stories. Of course, narrative writing, which includes their own stories about events they've experienced, or stories they make up about imaginary characters. They write stories with a parallel moral, so that gives them a theme. They identify the theme, and then they'll write another story with a different main character that has the same theme. And so learn about the message of a story. And then they write persuasive essays. And we cut out a lot of the stuff that was in the reasoning writing that wasn't really relevant to higher level writing, but a lot of that's still in there in terms of being persuasive, setting up your argument, having your reasons, making your conclusions, supporting your conclusions with details and facts that are relevant, and using logical reasoning. So they do a lot of persuasive writing with sets of facts that are given, like the Klunkbacher Hotel, which has positive and negative facts, and they learn how to be persuasive by actually selecting the facts that support their case. You don't always have to be dead honest when you're being persuasive. The game.
Anyway. Society, we see some examples of that.
Yes, well, you got to know the game if you're going to be able to understand it and deal with it, in real life, because that's how the world operates.
Yeah.
And they know when they're doing it. And then we also do research. Now that we have the internet, in previous versions, we never had so much internet availability or couldn't plan on it. It's really been fun to have kids look things up on the internet. Even using the dictionary is so much more simplified. You don't have to know alphabetical order. Just type the word in and say definition, it comes up. But they do learn alphabetical order and how to use the old-fashioned book. But in terms of finding better words or using the computer as a tool to find a better word, like a thesaurus, using a computer thesaurus to find a better word. Anyway, in doing research on some of the items, we give them source passages, and then we have them actually look information up on the internet and write research reports together as a team. They collaborate. One of them is about Native American tribes. So each kid has a tribe, and each team has a group, a family. Like the Plains Indians are one family, and Pacific Coast Indians, so that the teams then report to each other on their tribes and are required to get audio recordings of the language if they can get it and play that for the class and show pictures. And
interesting. It says really, yes, much different than the programs have been in the past.
Much different. Yeah, level 5 is totally new. Has some of the more complex type writing we did and essentials for writing in there. And,
Huh.
but, and then they also, so they did a report on the presidents, and because the presidents are all male, I put in there a task prior to them doing the report on a president where they had to write about a female world leader. So just they know that you don't always have to be a man to be president. Because the rest of the countries in the rest of the world have often had a female leader, and some very, very famous, remarkable ones. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's we got around that.
So in this revision, so give us your take on the new platform for delivery of the instruction by the teacher. Both the scripts are, the program scripts are on a tablet, right? And then
The scripts are on a tablet for the teacher, yes, and that's handy for a number of reasons. First of all, it's not even as heavy as the spiral bound book.
true.
And then it has links in there. I believe those links work to do some features. And then we can also fix problems in the teacher's script just immediately if you find errors. Usually we had to wait for a reprint to fix errors. And the teachers are trying out the electronic version right now, the scripts, and they really like having the iPad to work with.
And does this program also do the displays? Is it you have a different device, an additional device that is for doing displays, or is that just in the lower levels?
No, they have displays. Yes, the displays are also, well, they're supposed to be also in the teacher script that they touch something, and if it's linked up properly, and then it'll project the display onto the smart board or the whiteboard.
Right.
Interesting. But sometimes that link is tricky, I think, and they have a separate thing to project the displays.
I see. Well, great. And so the response in your tryout has been up?
Oh yes, they love it. And yes, and you can even have videos then, not just pictures in the display. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really like it. The kids like it. The kids, I go in the class and the kids know I'm a writer there, and they say, "Oh, I'm learning so much."
Is there anything as you worked through this revision, was there anything that kind of surprised you or you found was unusual, or was it pretty much what you expected?
Well, it forced us to do things that we should have done a long time ago, that the fact that we're aligning with the Common Core standards, even though they seem to be sort of up in the air, but just to define the kind of writing tasks, especially from my level, I think it could be a problem in the lower levels more so than the upper levels, because, having kids do these research reports and using the internet and doing writing on the computer. The kids have loved writing on the computer, typing in their research reports. And they do amazingly well. I'm just flabbergasted really to see their research reports. And I suppose a little spell checker or those automatic fixers in the program, I don't know, maybe they spell that well. It's just amazing how well they've done on those papers they've written.
Interesting. So you're talking about, though, the things that you were able to include. Was there anything in there that, was there something you wish you could have done with this revision that you weren't able to?
No, I think we did everything we ever wished we could do. And even, I can't think of a specific example, but if it was something that wasn't in the standards and we thought was really important, we put that in there.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was very clever, something I've puzzled over, how to teach consistent tense. I mean, that's something that, college students don't understand very well. Mm-hmm. And then that was a requirement that kids have to use consistent tense. I think when they write the standards, they don't even realize sometimes how hard it is, the thing they're asking kids to know. But anyway, upon analysis with Zig, we figured out, which probably other people know, but that that when you make tense consistent, it really is only the first verb and the verb phrase that you have to have consistent. That verb marks only present or past. So if you're writing in the present tense, like I like cucumbers, so I am going to the store to buy some cucumbers. I like is present tense. Am going is present progressive. I mean, it's not all present tense, right? It's present, but it can be present perfect, present progressive. But the first verb has to be consistent. So we focus on the key verb and get kids to identify that tense. And that worked really well. The kids were already making their tenses consistent by lesson 21.
Wow.
This is in level 5. And the group, we did a field test of it because it was kind of new, and the kids were saying to, well, I think McGraw-Hill called and asked them what they thought, or visited, I guess, and asked them what they thought. And they said, oh, we're learning so much grammar. When you hear kids say that.
Yeah, where did they find these children?
We really know it.
Wow, that's neat.
But it's not just grammar. It's grammar only for the purpose of getting them to write well, to write with, correct grammar, with verbs consistent. Try to teach the stuff that helps students write better. It is something they have to apply then when they get, because like I said, every day they write something, and there'll be checks that require them to integrate something they've been working on in their component skills tracks.
Right. One of the greatest assets of a co-author working with Zig that I observed over the years was that if one could capture the concept that needed to be taught, that he could break that down so well and work with a content type person who, I mean, your vast experience in the field would guide the content, and then he would be able to work, in tandem to develop the delivery to teach that skill. So go on.
I think Zig and I were a great team. Yes.
Yeah. And the other authors that I've talked to in this series reflected very similarly that at times, well, at times it wasn't necessarily the most reinforcing moment in their day.
Especially in the old days. In later years, he got to be he'd sing and much more relaxed, it seemed like.
Yeah. So,
and even that, of course, he worked right up virtually till the day he died. And even when he couldn't quite remember everything, he still was good at editing at a sentence level. I was just amazed. He could read the sentence and, do we need this? Cross it out. I mean, he was parsimonious to the core. No extra words.
Definitely. So, folks are going to be implementing this starting, well, some are now, but hopefully next year we get back to a face-to-face school setting. What advice would you have for teachers implementing the program and coaches that support them?
Well, the advice is always, the key thing is minute by minute mastery. We have the mastery tests every 10 lessons, and I've worked with a lot of teachers, and even Essentials for Writing put the mastery test in at lesson 5, just so groups would learn, we're serious about mastery. Don't wait to get to lesson 10 and say, oops, we didn't teach these things. We need to go back and do all these remedies. Mastery from day one, item by item mastery is so critical for helping everything be successful as you go along, helping all the kids be integrated together, work together as a group, and not have anybody holding the group behind. Usually the writing groups are larger, and they don't need to be quite as homogeneous as the decoding groups need to be. Mm-hmm. But kids need to, writing fluency is the key thing for getting a group to work together. If there's a student that can't form letters fast enough, then that student will hold the group up that can get the words on paper faster. Mm-hmm. And the remedy we have for that is to do fluency practice, have 2-minute timed writings. Oh. And you can do that at the beginning of the year just to get your group to be more cohesive in terms of working together is do some just timed copying. And and we have criteria in the program for that. That's built in to do the timed copying. But that's the most important thing for making your group work together so you can teach them all.
Yeah, I know. My daughter, when she was in college, she definitely expressed frustration because that collaborative learning model was really ingrained in higher education. And if kids going into college didn't know how to do that, then it really would be a frustration for others in that collaborative kind of setting. So it's neat you're teaching that early on.
Yes, kids do a lot of collaborative work, but not where one person does it. They all have their assigned part.
Great. Yeah.
And help each other, give feedback to each other.
Is there anything you would want to say to your audience here in closing? Any message out to them, or?
Well, I know we sort of lost we lost people to the language strand because we had problems in the previous signatures edition in our reading mastery. Language was not doing a good enough job teaching kids how to write so they could get good scores on these tests. And these levels really do teach writing. And the kids we did the field tests with, they got the highest scores in their district on the writing test for the Smarter Balance. So they were, they got really good at, items use multiple sources, and they use multiple sources on the assessment that kids have to get their information from and reproduce an essay, and they get practice doing that. And they have the grammar and everything in place. They just do a fantastic job.
Excellent.
Meeting the standards. So I just would encourage teachers to give the program a try, because this one is newer and better and totally better than it was before.
Excellent. Well, I thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate not only your time today, but Bonnie, also sincerely your commitment to bettering the opportunities for kids through your development of instruction and of course your delivery over the years. But so I want to thank you for that also.
Thank you, Brian.
You're one of the select few out there that really is making a huge difference and enabling others to make a huge difference in the lives of kids. So thank you very sincerely.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Thank you very much.